What is up, everybody? Welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today we are doing a Top 10 Tuesday, which means that we are going to look at the next 10 games on my top 100. So we've been going through my top 100 list, so if you've missed out, I will put a card up to let you guys see the last 10 that we did. Before we get there, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. In your comment section, of course, tell me which of these games do you like the most, or if you want, you could take these 10 games and rank them in the order of how you would rank them, because I love seeing everybody's comparisons and seeing how they would rank these 10. So I want you to rank these 10 in your comments, and if you haven't played any of them, now is a good time for you to learn about some of these, and maybe one day you might buy one. But, you know, gotta save that money for the good games, right? So anyways, I love all of these games. So let's go into my before we go into my number 80, don't forget to check out our memberships. As I've said before, memberships are a really cool way for you to get plugged in and to support the channel. One of the things I would love to say is that 9 to 5 Gamers is built on the principle that I am a 9 to 5 gamer. I work a 9 to 5, then I come home and I play board games, which I think is the vast majority of the people. I want it to stay that way. I want this channel to be funded by 9 to 5 gamers, right? I don't want to be a channel that's paid for by a bunch of sponsorships and things like that. Like, although I'm open to those things, I feel like I am. I just don't want that to be the primary source, because I know the kind of with everything going on, there's a lot of distrust in that. And so as a growing channel, I'm taking notes and I'm seeing some of the positives and the repercussions that come with that. So that's always one of the things that I've wanted to do, is just say, hey, look, I want this channel to be for gamers by gamers. Like, I want this to be a channel for us, for you guys. And so fund it, man. Just go into the memberships. Go ahead and click on a membership. I want all the memberships to really get the same stuff, but you're going to get exclusive access to member-only videos that I'm going to be posting at least once a week. Not only that, you get some really cool badges, a little gift that you can, not a gift, but it's like a little badge or something that you can utilize. You also have access to play board games with me through BGA. If you want to connect with me through Twitter, don't forget to check me out on Twitter. Follow me and contact me through there if you want to get in the DMs. Also, there was something else. What else was on there? Memberships. Oh, you get to start voting on what videos end up on the channel. You also get to vote on what I get to play throughout the week. So there's a lot of cool things and a lot of cool perks that come from our memberships, and they're super inexpensive. They're not very expensive monthly. And of course, obviously, if you can't afford to give monthly, you can always do a one-time super thanks or the super chats. You can do those while we're live streaming, and just donate to the channel. Every little bit helps. Again, I do this channel for 9 to 5 gamers like you, so I want to keep it that way. So try to do a membership if you can. If you can't, I completely understand. Again, that's all the goal of this channel is I want everybody to have access to board game content. So anyways, let's get into the top 10 or top 80 through 71. All right, so let's get into number 80 on my list, and that is Cat in the Box. So if you've never played Cat in the Box, this is a really cool trick-taking game. I don't know if it's my favorite trick-taking game, but it's definitely a cool trick-taking game. It can be very mean, though. I've experienced that with certain players in my player group, that they literally will just, even if the move doesn't help them win the game, as long as it messes me up kind of thing, they can kind of king make, and I don't like that. But Cat in the Box is still a really solid game, and I really enjoy playing it. It's a trick-taking game that's very interesting because all the cards are black and white. You choose what color you want it to be. That's the suit of the card is the color, and red is the trump suit. And it's got this little board where anytime you say, hey, look, I'm playing a blue 6, you put a little token on the blue 6 on the board, and now the blue 6 is unavailable to be played for the rest of the game. Eventually, it causes a paradox, and it causes all things to go crazy. So Cat in the Box is my number 80. Number 79. My number 79 is air, land, and sea. Now, this is the Critters at War version. You don't have to play this version. I just think this version is really cool. I still need to get the Flies, Lies, and Supplies. That is a standalone game, but also can be an expansion to add to this to change things up. But this is a really cool lane game where you're just trying to have the most points in a lane in order to win that lane. And if you can win there's 3 theaters of war. If you can win 2 of those 3 theaters, which are the little lanes, you win the game. And so you have a hand of cards and you play cards from your hand. They have numbers, you add the totals, and whoever has the most, but those cards also have abilities that let you flip cards over, which decreases their value, or for some cards might increase the value. This is a really cool game, man. I forgot how many cards are in here. I forget how many cards. 18 battle cards. Only 18 cards, but the replayability of this game is so stinking high. This is honestly one of my favorite 2-player games of all time. I love Critters at War, and I can't wait to see some people let me know if they like it or not. So that is my number 79. Number 78. My favorite Pandemic game, because I have not played Pandemic Legacy. This is a Pandemic game, but it goes with a Star Wars skin, and it is really good, man. Star Wars Clone Wars is such a good implementation of the Pandemic system, where you have a whole bunch of planets instead of countries, and on those planets you get little droids. You have to manage the amount of droids that are being placed out, because if too many of them get placed out, you get blockades, and then blockades do even worse things. But this game, instead of having cards in your hand and playing them to the discard pile, you actually play the cards out in front of you and then exhaust them for their abilities that let you move. Some of them let you attack. Some of them will be defensive and block damage, and you have your own character that you play as with their own miniature, and it has abilities. It's a really, really fun game. So if you like Star Wars and you like Pandemic, this is the game for you. I highly recommend checking that game out. Next up on my list after Star Wars is a really cool auction game that I got a chance to play called Isle of Skye, which was highly recommended by a few YouTube influencers, namely Chris Yee was the one who said that he really enjoyed this game, so I wanted to give it a try because I really like his opinion and trust him. And Isle of Skye, this is a really cool game, man. I love the auction mechanic in it, where you have tiles, and then you place them in front of you, like these 3 tiles, and then behind a little screen you will set the value for each of those, and one of them you'll put an X marker, which will literally just delete that tile. Then after that you have to buy each other's tiles. I will say at 2 players it's not as good, but I think there's an expansion that helps with that. But this game, with 3 to 4, maybe 4 to, can you play with 5? Yeah, 4 to 5 players. This game really shines at a higher player count, and is really cool because you get to buy other people's chips, and if you don't buy them, then whatever money that they place that's the cost, they get to pay that and keep the tiles. So it's a really interesting mechanic where it's like, man, I have to auction my tiles off, but what if I really want one? Maybe I should put the price up really high, so if somebody buys it, I get a lot of money. But if somebody doesn't buy it, then I just pay for my own tile, which is a good tile for me anyway. Thought it was a really cool game. I like Isle of Skye. I liked it better than a couple of other games that are like, and then when you win these tiles, you put them out in front of you and build this little town city thing. It's really cool. It reminds me a little bit of like a Carcassonne, but with an auctioning mechanic. So my next one, number 76, is Dice Miner. I talk about this game all the time on my channel. This game is fun. I think everybody should have a copy of a game like this. Looking for the deluxe version that came with the actual plastic mountain, but this one is super cool. It is a dice drafting game, but all of the dice are in a mountain, and so you have to pull the dice off the mountain, and then you keep them, and you're able to re-roll them, and your goal is to just get runs of numbers, starting with the number 1, then 2, then 3, and then you gain however many pips there are in points. And then there's gems that you can get, there's dragons, and there's negative dice that will take points away, but if you have green dice that counter them, then it'll turn those into positive points instead of negative points. There's so much in this game, so simple and easy to learn. People pick it up quick, and they just like, yo, let's play. That's what I always say, like, if my game group says, yo, run that back, I want to play again, it's a great game. And that's what always happens with this. It's fast and easy to learn, easy to play. People always tell me to run it back. Let's see, what's next? After Dice Miner, is the game Just One. This is like the ultimate party game. Like if you've never played Just One, you're living under a rock. This game is amazing. It plays with up to 7 players. It won the Spiel des Jahres, and that's because it's just a really good game. Basically, somebody picks a little card, they put it in front of them on this little easel thing, and then they pick a number 1 through 5, and then whatever number that corresponds with, there's a word. They have to try to guess that word, and so the way that they guess it is that everybody on their little easel is going to write a word that has to do with that word. But if anybody's words match up, you have to eliminate those words. And so even though there might be 6 people writing words down, 3 or 4 of them might match up and end up deleting their words, and then you're left with only 2 clues, and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to guess this? Super fun game, super cheap, it's very easy to learn. It's like the best party game ever. I highly recommend everybody get that game. Next, after Just One, is a game called Mysterium. Mysterium is a really cool game. Again, it's one of those games where it was like, I think we played it a few times and everybody likes it, but just getting it to the table has been a lot more difficult, which is why eventually it's going to leave my collection. I've also heard Mysterium Parks does the same thing, but it's just a lot easier to get to the table, which for me, I think I might just switch for the Mysterium Parks and then just end up getting rid of this one. But man, it's really cool because it's got this big manor that the ghost kind of hides behind, and the ghost gives vision cards to try to lead people into understanding who the murderer and their suspect is, and their weapon that they did it, where they did it. It's kind of like Clue, but just much better. Mysterium is a really, really fun game. It does have some like your like psychics, mediums channeling, a dead spirit or something like that. But it's more like kid friendly than you would think. But if you're not into stuff like that, I don't recommend the game. I would recommend a game called Obscurio, which is a little less into that theming, but the theme doesn't really stick out too much in this game. So it's super fun. Everybody should play it at least, and I love it. My next game is no longer in my collection. I actually sold it, but again, this was during the time where I had a 4x4 Calyx, and that was it. And I was trying to fit all of these games in a 4x4. So because of that, I had to start culling games, and there was a game that just wasn't getting played that often, but it was still a really good game, and it didn't stay in my collection very long, but I really enjoyed it because it's a solid game, and that is Parks. The beautiful artwork on that game, that is such a fun little game where you're a hiker and you're going through these different parks, and you're trying to reserve parks and gain opportunities to go there and take pictures and things like that. And so you're hiking through these trails and trying to get resources to match up with like contract fulfillment, but it's got that system where once you go ahead, you can't go backwards. And it's once somebody gets to the end, it kind of puts like a rush on everybody else to get to the end to get bonuses. So it's really cool. I really enjoy Parks, and I think a lot of people really would enjoy playing it. There's a smaller version called Trails, which is very similar, but not that much the same, that you can try out, which is only like $20. Parks has a very steep price, but the components and the visuals and the artwork, everything, you'll know why it was $50 once you open the box. It is amazing. So I highly recommend checking out Parks because it's a great game. My number 72 is Dinosaur Island. Again, only reason I don't have this game is because my friend has the game, so if I ever want to play the game, I go to his house and play. The reason I chose Dinosaur Island and not Dinosaur World, and I don't know if Dinosaur World is going to appear later on in the list or if it didn't make the list, but Dinosaur World was really good. It's just way too much setup, and I feel like it overcomplicated the complicated game that Dinosaur Island already was. So I really didn't enjoy that about Dinosaur World. Dinosaur World was okay. I liked it at first, and I was like, I'm going to get rid of Dinosaur Island because my friend has Dinosaur Island, I have Dinosaur World, so if we ever want to play either, we have both. But I just don't play it, man, and it's so hard to get to the table. It's such a table hog, and I don't know. It's okay, but Dinosaur Island, I love. And I love it because it has a solo mode. So it's just a Jurassic Park. You're building up your little park, and visitors will come and visit and check out your different exhibits, and sometimes people will come in and mess your park up. Some people will get eaten, and then you lose points. It's really, really fun. And then you get DNA, these really cool amber DNA dice that you roll to get different DNA samples, and you move those tracks up, and then you can spend those DNA to research new dinosaurs. You unlock new paddocks to put the dinosaurs in. It's really, really cool. The more dinosaurs you have, the more points you gain, but then the more dinosaurs you have, the more likely it is that you'll need more security to keep your dinosaur from breaking out and eating people. So a really cool, fun, balancing game. So I really like Dinosaur Island. That is my number 72. And again, the only reason it's not in my collection is just because my friend has it, so why should I have it too? But that's not true about all games, though. Like he has Dune Imperium, and I have Dune Imperium, because obviously that's a great game. So, last but not least, Ready, Set, Bet by John DeClaire. I really love this game. This is my number 71, and I play this as frequently as I possibly can because it is just such a good game. When you have a bunch of people at the house and everybody's just betting on the horses and throwing money and stuff like that, it's so much fun because basically there's like a little horse pad, and then you're moving horses. All the horses have numbers that correspond to the 2 dice that you roll. And so if you rolled a 1 and a 1, that's snake eyes. You get the 2 horse and you move them up. And then there's the 7 horse moves the most. And some of them get boosts and bonuses depending on your rolls. And so somebody just rolls dice and calls out names of the horses, like the numbers of the horses, and then everybody has to bet on those horses live. And so it's one of those games that's I forget what they call those. Not live action, but it's a game that you play, like everybody plays simultaneously at the same time. Super, super fun. If you've never played Ready, Set, Bet, this is a really good game. It's not very expensive, and it's so much fun when you have a ton of people at the house. You can play with, I think, up to 9. 2 to 9 players. And the 9th player is usually the person rolling the dice and calling out the horse names. They don't actually play the game, but there's a game mode where they can actually play and bet while running the horses. I don't know about that. It also has an app. I always forget to mention that. There's an app that will just do the horse race for you, so you don't have to have somebody calling out numbers, and then you can actually play 9 players. So Ready, Set, Bet, amazing party game. That one is there. That is my number 71. And that's it for my 80 through 71. I'm really excited for this list. We're getting very close to the top 10, so continue to stay tuned, and if you liked any of these games, tell me which ones you like. Also, don't forget to rank them in the comment section. Love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Catch you on the flippity flip. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, yada yada yada. Shoo-ba-da-bop-doo-ay. All right, see you guys later. Peace.